Welcome to lessons 22 of our Google Sheet course. In these lessons, we'll explore conditional formatting and data validations, and two powerful tools that help us make spreadsheets more visuals, interactive, and error-proof. So, conditional formatting allows us to highlight important data automatically, such as overdue tax, top scores, or low stocks levels. And data validations ensures that user enter the correct types of informations, reducing mistakes and keeping the sheet clean. So, by the end of these lessons, you will be able to create rules that visually highlights data trends, restrict data entry using drop-down menus, and build smarter spreadsheets. So let's get started. Okay, so let's open up the Google Docs, or here we have the Google Sheets over here, and let's start with the conditional formatting. So the conditional formatting changes how cells look based on their values. For example, you can highlight exam scores below 50 in red, or automatically sets weekends in our calendar. So it saves times and makes data patterns easy to spot. So let's take a data set of student scores in the class. So let's say if I do have this is the student name, or let's go with and say the student, and the next one is, so let's say we're gonna want to use for the subject math, and let's say the science, like the this one, and let's say the English. Okay, so if I gonna go to, and let's say this is, and we're gonna use this is the average number. Okay, so now let's add the few students names. So let's say the LCs, or let's say the Ben, or let's say something the Clara, or if I'm gonna go to the David, and let's go with the Ima. Okay, so and that's it. So now let's input something like the numbers. So if I'm gonna type 92, 45, or let's say the 80, or let's say the 55, and let's use the 98. Okay, and for the science, so let's use the 85, and if I'm gonna use something the 52, or let's say the 88, or let's use the random number for the examples like over here. And for the there's one, we and if I'm gonna say 50 or 85, or let's say the something, or you can say something the 60, or say the 90, let's say the 40, or here we can use the 91. Okay, so and that's it. Now we want to make it as the bold, this is the headers. Now we want to use the average. So for that we want to use the average functions, and this one, and that's it. We have the average functions, and now let's take out the decimal places from there. So and that's it. So now drag the formula down, and here you got it the average results in there, and we will apply formatting to highlight students who scored the below, let's say the 50, and or we can say the 60, let's say, and also identify the top performer. So, and if I'm gonna go to and select now the to highlight falling students, so we can do, so let's say we're gonna want to or select the or average columns. Now go to the format and select the conditional formatting. So under the format cells, or over here, and you'll find the for cells if there, and choose the less than. So if I gonna say, or let's go with, and let's say the less than, and here we want to say, let's say the 60. Okay, and now it's automatically highlighted, and select a red background colors. Like if I gonna say, and let's say the this one, and then just use done. And now, or any students with an average scores below the 60, and automatically turns on the rate, so you can instantly see who needs extra help. Okay, so that's it. Now let's move, or let's do the opposite. So highlight top performers. So same way we can do. So let's select the average columns again, and now add the another rules, and this times in there choose the greater than. Okay, or the equals, or greater than, or you can say the equals, or let's say, or like the this one greater than or equals, and let's say we want to use the 85. Okay, and here now let's just set the color something. Let's go with the green, like that, that's one. And now students likes, we can see the like Elsie's, or also the Clara or Emma, so or stands out of the green. So with just a few clicks we have made the our spreadsheets for more variables. Okay, and also conditional formatting is not limited to single uses or single rules. You can apply color scales. So for example, select all the scores in like the math, science and English, like over here, and go to the again the format and click on the conditional formatting. And these times, so let's use the color scales. Okay, so from there choose the color scales, and also choose a gradient, like we can say like the mini, or from here rate for the low, or if I gonna go to, or let's say this is, or we gonna go with the another one, so this is for the rate, like that, that's one. Okay, and also here the another one, yellow for the meat, so let's go to, or let's say we gonna want to use like the number, or we can say the these numbers, or let's say the, or here we want to say the yellow, like that, that's one. And the next point, so let's say the green for the high. Okay, so let's go with, and we can make it again the green, and like here we have also the green, and there since we have the different colors. Okay, so now the score display the heat maps, so instantly showing like the performance in over here, so like over here, and instantly showing performance distributions across the subject. So and that's it. So now sometimes you need custom rules. So let's say we want to highlight students who scored below the 50 in any subject, not just the average. So we can do, let's select the whole data set, like we can do like the A1 to D6 over here, or you can use like the from here, or let's say the A1 to E6 over here. Now in the conditionals formatting, under the format tabs, and select the conditions formatting. Now we'll use the another one, or let's say add the another rules, and these times we want to use the customs formula. Okay, so let's go to and use the custom formula is over here, and let's say we're gonna use like the over here, let's say the or functions, and first let's use the equal, and let's say the or, then let's say the first parenthesis, and let's go with something. If the b2, let's say the b2 is or less than the 50, or let's say here the b2, let's say the less than or B2, say the less than is 50, and let's say the C or less than the 50, or let's go with the C2 again less than the 50, again let's say the D or 2 or less than the 50. So and that's it over here, and choose the color or choose the red fill. Okay, so here let's go with the there's one, and now that here we found it, like now Ben and also the David's rose up, or like David's rose light up because they failed in the, like here, like failed in at least one subject. Okay, so and just hit on the okay. So this is where conditional formatting becomes like powerful formulas and lets you build rules beyond basics options. Okay, and that's it with the conditional formatting. Now let's move into the data validations. So what is the data validations? So let's say data validations ensure that data entered in uh, cells meet certain criteria. For example, if or you can create a drop down menu for like deep department or the restricted or entires to like numbers only. So it helps keep spreadsheets clean, consistent, and free from the typos. So like here for that, so let's create the another sheets, and let's consider the data sets for an or inventory. And let's say if I'm gonna use this is the item, and let's say we can just say the category over here. Let's go with and write here the category, and let's use here the quantity. Okay, so let's say the quantity over here, and let's say we're gonna use the status. So let's say the status over here and here. So or like here, or if I'm gonna now like use it here the laptop. So let's say the laptop over here, or use the mouses. So let's say the mouse, and here let's say the chair. Let's go with, and let's say the desk, say the phone. Okay, and category let's go with and say the electronics. Let's say the electronics, and here again we're gonna want to use the electronics. So this is the furniture, or like over here, and here this is comes the furniture, and this is the electronics. Okay, and quantity let's say the 3 5 or something the 25, and use the 0, and let's say so this is the tens. And status we can use the in stock, and let's say the out of stock. Okay, so like here the out of stocks, like something like this one. So let's say the in stocks, let's say the low or low stocks over here. Let's go with, and here let's say the low stocks. Okay, so and we'll use data validations to control how data is entered in the category and status columns. Okay, so before that, so let's make it the headers with the bold, and that's it. So and like here, suppose we only want specific categories like the electronics, and also the furniture, and also the stationery. Okay, so the select the category columns, like if I gonna go to over here, like the under like this one, then go to the data, and from there choose the data validations. Okay, so in or under the data, and now choose the data validations, and that's it. Or we want to add like the or add rules, and here or under the criteria choose the list items. So hover, and let's say, or this is or like here we have this is like this one. Or if I gonna go to, or let's say the greater than, or this is the criteria, and drop down, or if I'm gonna go to the drop downs with over here, so this is the list of items. So or we have the electronics furnitures, and let's say we want to use the another items, and let's say, so this is the stationery. So let's go it, and let's write here the stationery over there. Okay, so now users can only pick from the drop down and avoiding spelling mistakes like the electronics or something like this way, and that's it. So now if I'm gonna click over, and you can only use like the stationaries over here, so you cannot type anything in there. So when you types, so it will gives you the error. Okay, so and that's it within there. Okay, and or and also the, and in the quantity columns, let's make sure only positive numbers are allowed. So for that, so let's select like the or C columns, and now go to again the data validations, or like in the data validation rules, and now this times let or add the rules, and now let's under the criteria choose the number. Okay, so let's say, and we can use the something, the number, or this content, or text or text content, or text does not contents over here, or let's say we're gonna want to use like the numbers over here, or let's go to the data types, use the, or let's go to over here, and let's use the data validations in there. And we have now that this is the drop down from here, and the next one we can select something like the number, not the text, or text does not content, so like that these ones. And also, or we can give here the values or the formulas if you're gonna want to use, or let's say the number this is less than the 0. Okay, so and that's it over here, and check the or reject the input, so invalid entries are blocked. Okay, so now hit on the or done. So now if I use the negative one, so what happened, so or here, and that's it, or does not, or we can do, so let's use or select it over there again, and or here we can do like, let's say the get or text or the or is between, so let's say we can just say the 0, and let's say the another one, let's say the 100. Okay, and check with like the reject the outputs, and that's it. So now, and when I click like this one, and like if I gonna go to the negative one, and now you cannot enter like that's one, so it's blocked. So now if someone tries to type a negative number or text like over here, so let's say the text, and also or sheet will stop them, keeping your data consistent. Okay, so and that's it. And now let's create a smart rules for status in over here, so we can do, so let's, or for now if I gonna go to for like there's one in there, so what we can do, so let's add the another one, so go to, or we can do like in there, so like if quantity is 0 out of the stocks, or if quantity is less than 5 low or stocks, or otherwise in stocks. So while data validations cannot do calculations, we can combine it with formula. So in here, or the status or columns, enter the or enter this formula for now. And if I gonna go to the add rules over here, and let's say we're gonna go to the customs formula is over here, and let's say if I gonna if functions first equal, let's say the if, or next one is if, let's say start from the here, like this one, let's say the c or 2 equal the 0. So we want to say, so this is the, or out of, let's say the out of, or here the stock. And another one, if again, let's say the if, or let's go with the this one, if the c2 is, or c2 is less than the 5, we want to say the low stocks. Okay, so let's use the low stock over here. And the next one is, so let's say, or otherwise we want to say the in stock. Okay, so like the these ones over here. And now let's close it with the parenthesis, and that's it over there. So now hit on the OK, and that's it. So if I'm gonna use the 0, or like say the 25, so here we can now, if I say the in stocks, so, or let's say the low stocks, or out of stock, so what happened, so it comes with the error. So this cells contains violates validations rule. Okay, so now status update automatically as quantities changes. This ensures accurate without manual typings errors. Okay, so like over here, or let's go to, and if I'm gonna use over here, so, or let's use it over here, or let's say we're gonna want to use like the c2 over here, or let's copy this one, or if I'm gonna now copy it from here, or there's is our the examples over there. Or let's start with the beginnings, or we can remove for now, and let's start with from here. So let's say again, let's use the add rules, and let's say we're gonna want to use the customs rules again. Custom formula is, let's say the equal, and if functions c2 is equal the 0, we want to say the out of a stock over here. Again, let's say the if, or let's say, and let's say the c2, the this one is less than the 5, we want to, or we'll use here the low stock over here, and that's it. Or otherwise will comes with the like in stock. Okay, so like the this one, and that's it, and close it with the parenthesis. So, and that's it over here. So now let's go to, and this is our like if, again we can just check out with the that's one, and that's it over here. And now what we can do, we can just go to over here, and that's use, or what we can do, so let's reject the inputs, and that's it. Okay, so now let's check it again. So now we can just use the enter, and that's it our the examples. Okay, so this ensure accuracy with manuals, or if I gonna now drag theirs in there. Okay, so and that's it here with our examples. And also this ensures accuracy without manual typings errors. Okay, so now that here we have learned with the that's one. So now let's combine both features for maximum impact. For example, in your, or in our inventory sheets, so we can use the data validation for drop down categories and status over here, and also apply the conditional formatting to highlights into the like low stocks, and also yellow, and out of stocks items in the red. Okay, so we can go ahead and select from there, and the sheets not only prevents wrong data entry but also visually warms you when stocks in running low. So To summarize, conditional formatting highlights trends and acceptations and making data easier to analyze. And other hand, the data validations ensure accuracy by restricting user input. So together, they transforms Google Sheets into smart interactive dashboard that prevents errors and save times. So in the next lections, we will continue building on these skills to make even more dynamics and automated spreadsheets. Thank you for joining lessons 22.